This is an article by Jez Corden published 2 hours ago on Windows Central. And basically he's going through what his sources have told him to expect for Team Green over on Team Green throughout the rest of this year. Now, what is currently established is that there is going to be an Xbox partner showcase in like mid to late January, sometime second or third week, probably. My sneaking suspicion is that they're going to do it either right before or right after the announcement of massive layoffs, because they want to kind of recapture the narrative. So if they reveal a lot of cool stuff, wait like a week and then reveal that they laid off 10,000 people, it's going to kind of be a bit of a bummer. But if they do the announcement of all the layoffs and then immediately showcase a lot of games people are excited for, they probably will get away with a lot more of it. So that's kind of my expectation. But they should have that. They should have a lot of things that are expected to come this year. New like Halo stuff. They have the anniversary thing later this year. Of course, Gears of War, Forza, Fable should finally be here. A lot of third-party stuff is also expected to be there. So it's possible that Xbox reveals the Black Flag remake for Ubisoft. That's quite possible, but let's see what he has to say on his post. It's also officially Xbox's 25th anniversary this year, and it's starting on a bit of a sour note for many, and it really shouldn't be. They had a fantastic 2025 on paper. Xbox first party shipped more games than ever. Xbox Game Pass arguably had its best sprint of high quality games ever too, with Expedition 33, Silksong, Doom, The Dark Ages, Oblivion Remake, and many more hitting the service. It's true, a lot of the discourse around Xbox is of course very negative, because they're very bad, frankly, at marketing. I know, shocker, the company that names their products the Xbox ROG, the Xbox ROG Ally Xbox, I don't even know, dude. I do this for a living and I can't keep up with it. Like, the company that names their stuff that is bad at marketing. Okay, everything's an Xbox too. What the hell does that even mean? This is an Xbox. And so even though they're bad at marketing and communicating with people, I will say that they did have a lot of solid games drop on the service. Just having Expedition 33 and Silksong on the service included, those are pretty solid gets, frankly. Those pretty solid. Doom kind of fell flat for a lot of people, but Oblivion also being on it, that's a huge W as well. That ended up being massive, especially when it dropped. So all of these, definitely heavy hitting. Pretty much most of these dropped in like a 6-week window, I think, but still. Anyway, continuing. We also saw a huge Xbox partnership with Asus, the Xbox Ally gaming handheld, which puts Xbox Play Anywhere at the forefront. Microsoft also announced a big partnership with AMD for next-gen consoles. Alas, that's not what Xbox's 2025 will be remembered for, sadly. Microsoft has been working overtime to sync its image, injecting AI slop into every product it has, laying off thousands while bragging about how much of its code is written by AI, and hiking prices of products to uncomfortable levels. Xbox Game Pass picked up 50% price hike on the highest tier, and the Xbox Series X and S hardware has become prohibitively expensive, leading to free fall sales declines. I saw some analysts were actually suggesting that Microsoft is intentionally nuking their console sales by raising prices as much as they are. And the strategy behind it is that manufacturing stuff is becoming prohibitively expensive and the margins are minuscule. So Xbox is basically getting people to give up on their own hardware so that they can go and focus their efforts on high margin businesses, such as software distribution, which I guess makes sense if all they care about is margin. And you might be like, Luke, that doesn't make sense. Why would that be all they care about? Because they only really care about margin. Like Amy Hood, who is the CFO of Microsoft, she's a corporate shark in her own right, like very capable individual. She may look unthreatening, but like, bro, we study her in business school, and you don't mess with Amy. You don't mess with Amy. She is a cutthroat corporate shark, dude. Nom nom, bite, slash them budgets. Like, that's what she does. So she's very good. There's a reason that she's, the chief financial officer for a multi-trillion-dollar company. Okay. For her, like, do you think she cares about like Xbox's brand image? No. She wants you to hit that 30% margin. It was also really funny. There was that article that was posted where Xbox or Microsoft executives were asked about the 30% margin that they were reportedly mandating Xbox hit on pretty much everything. And they said, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. No, 30%. But they didn't offer any counter. They didn't offer any source. The article or the website that posted that article didn't provide a source for the counter or for the rejection of that claim. And to me, it just seems like either it was a made up source or it was one of those things where it's like the source is like, yeah, well, it's 29% margin. So no, it's not 30, but it's like, seems like there's a lot more sources claiming that the 30% margin is what's expected of them than sources claiming that it's not. So I think that makes sense that they're pushing it. It also explains all of their behavior. Anyway, other things like injecting AI slop into every product it has. This is only going to continue. Satya Nadella is like obsessed with AI stuff. And his big thing is that he wants to normalize it. So you probably saw the story. He did an interview. This was a bit of a blunder. He did an interview where he was like, I'm really upset that people call AI slop. This was a couple of weeks after Merriam-Webster named the word slop as the word of the year, which is very funny. He wrote on his personal blog, the CEO of Microsoft, that he wants us to stop thinking of AI as slop and start thinking of it as bicycles for the mind. So in response, the internet branded them as micro slop. Kind of funny. Honestly, I don't know what he expected to happen. When you go to the internet and say, stop it, stop calling me this, they're gonna keep calling you it. You know, that's just how it works. So he's going to keep pushing it. His big thing is to normalize it. That's what he wants. So his whole push, I think, for the next 2-3 years is in every facet of their business, making AI so normal and much less of a buzzword, but like very normalized that it's no longer seen as like scandalous. Because it's not just about their AI products. Most of their business right now is built up in investment on AI data centers and stuff for Microsoft Azure, their cloud systems. And so he needs other people to use AI like ChatGPT, which they own like 50% of. He needs them to use that and for it to not be socially taboo, because that's also what's healthy for their business. So his whole thing for the next 5 years is making AI normal and getting people to stop complaining about it. Back in the day, like 25-ish years ago, 25, 30 years ago, there was a big push where like the internet was becoming very widespread and mainstream. And you can go back and see news conferences and or news reports and press conferences and stuff of some people that were like, this internet thing is going to die out. It's just a fad. Real business is done on paper and stuff like that. And of course it didn't age well, but it's because they pushed very hard to normalize it and make it mainstream. And that's what they're going to try to do as well. And I think the effect of that is that they're going to pump AI stuff into every single aspect of your life, like everything, even your games. I think like they've already talked about hiring a bunch of people at the Microsoft like Halo studios that are all former AI people from the corporate upper echelons. And so I think the odds are actually decently high that they are going to, my guess is, try to sell Halo as like an AI assisted game. I think that they're going to do stuff like that where they're like, yes, ChatGPT actually wrote the story for the next Halo and it's going to go terribly, but like never underestimate their ability to be woefully disconnected from reality. Okay. it's seriously, just wait. If you doubt me, bro, some of the stuff that they do is insane, okay? Some of the stuff they do is insane. So I think that they're going to keep pushing it and it's just going to become more and more of a focus. So if you think that they're going to cool down on making everything about AI, I don't think they are. They're just going to keep pushing it. As for layoffs, it's being reported that we should expect 11 to 22,000 layoffs from Microsoft in the third week of January. Again, hate to say I told you so, but like back in August, September, I told you guys get ready for another round in January and it's happening. So they're going to lay off tons of people. Other things like price hikes. Yeah, like I said, maybe that's an intentional thing where they're nuking the business to focus on higher margin business sectors. That would actually not surprise me. It doesn't make sense on paper to intentionally screw up your own business, but when you start thinking like a corporate shark that only cares about margins, all of a sudden it starts to make sense. Continuing on, the drama led to a barrage of headlines questioning whether or not Xbox would even still exist to see its big 25th anniversary slated for November 15th of 2026. What also is really interesting is that Phil Spencer, have you noticed? He used to do a lot of interviews. He's largely AFK. Like, have you noticed that? He's just kind of disappeared. He used to do a ton of press and interviews and updates and stuff, and he's just been like totally AFK. Like totally AFK. And it's very, very interesting. It's very interesting. He's hiding. I think it could be that he's hiding. It could also just be that, let's be honest, it didn't really seem to do a lot of good. You know, when he was doing interviews, most of the time, it would just be like a video that we could use in 6 months to point out how he contradicted himself, because he would often say things like, we're just bringing 4 games to PlayStation. And then 6 months later, they're bringing 1,000. You know, I don't think it ever really helped anything. It was nice to have transparency. I think it's good and healthy for the industry, but in terms of helping Xbox's business, I don't think it helped anything. So he's probably sitting on the sidelines. Isn't he retiring? Nothing's confirmed as far as I'm aware. But again, my expectation, and this has been my expectation for like a year and a half, 2 years, is that he's probably going to retire at the end of this generation, and then Sarah Bond will take over. Sarah Bond is the president of Xbox, so she's currently, like, seems to me, being prepared to take over as CEO. I think Matt Booty, this guy Matt Booty, are probably going to like, he's probably sticking around in some capacity. But yeah, I think Phil will probably retire and Sarah will take over as CEO. That seems to be what they want. If you don't know Sarah Bond, she is very capable in a corporate context. I don't get the vibe that she is a gamer or gives a crap about gaming at all. Doesn't mean necessarily that she'd be bad at the job, but I think that there's a reason why Satya Nadella would like her in that role, and it's because, like, she gets it. She gets the corporate game. You know, that's my expectation. Yeah, went to Yale and Harvard. Need I say more? Like, very, very highly educated. Yeah. And her big thing, this was like what kind of rocketed her to the top of the list, I think. Bond played a pivotal role in representing Microsoft during the scrutinized bid to acquire Activision Blizzard. Her deal was basically that she was given the task of getting the Activision deal through, a $70 billion acquisition, and she did it, which I don't probably need to even say this, but I'll just make it clear. They were trying to buy a $70 billion company, and they had international resistance from multiple governments around the world, from the US governments and like FTC. You had regulators in the UK and in Europe both upset about the deal. Australian regulators were upset about it for a bit. Like, and she managed to navigate that and push the deal through. So she's very capable from a corporate context, but I'm just going to be real. I've never seen any indication. And honestly, I don't think I've ever heard her say that she's ever played a video game. I'm trying to think. Like, Phil says all the time that he plays video games. His Xbox profile is active and public. You can actually see what games he's playing on a daily basis. I don't think I've ever heard Sarah Bond say that she's ever played a video game. I'm not saying she hasn't said that. I don't think I've ever heard it. I can't think of a time where I've heard that. So anyway, I think that she probably takes over. I don't know if that's, you know, maybe something will shake up. Maybe she'll go to a different company. That happens all the time, where somebody climbs the ladder over here and then jumps to another company. Before working at Microsoft, she was one of the right-hand people to the former CEO of T-Mobile. So she was chief of staff to John Legere, the former CEO of T-Mobile. So she bounced from that company over. So you never know. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I think that Phil's tenure, when it ends, she'll probably take over. That's the vibe I'm getting. With this, continuing on, where did I leave off? Okay, I suspect Xbox will want to put the negativity of the past year firmly behind itself, but it finds itself in a confluence of challenges, both internal and external. The storm will pass for the vast majority of Xbox gamers unnoticed, most likely, but for the wider audience, Xbox remains firmly under a microscope. I do think that the average consumer is just going to see, ooh, new Halo. Ooh, Overwatch had an update. Ooh, we've got a new Call of Duty that's mediocre. I think that it's just going to be business as usual. But behind the scenes, a lot is shaking it up. One thing we know for certain is what to expect from Microsoft's first party in 2026. At least generally speaking, Microsoft has a lot in the chamber it can fire off potentially in the coming months. But the headliners are set. Fable, Gears of War, whoops, I pressed the button. Fable, Gears of War E-Day, Halo Campaign Evolved, and Forza 6. These, Microsoft often jokingly refers to the lineup as the four horsemen internally, representing what are arguably the four most iconic Xbox franchises. Out of these, I do expect Fable. I would not sleep on Fable. Like, seriously, all the trailers I've seen, this seems like one of those games that has a lot of mainstream appeal. So I think that this could pop off. Gears of War E-Day, all of the old school gamers that love them some Gears, I think this is going to be a big deal, and they've been given time to work on it, and I think that they're gonna hit it out of the park, most likely. I think that that's gonna be baller. Halo Campaign Evolved, this one, I don't know, man. No multiplayer. It seems like kind of a training project for the team to get under, like, their feet under them with Unreal. Microsoft will show off at least some of these in the January Xbox Developer Direct show, which has become an annualized tone-setting event for Xbox's yearly lineup. While I'm not sure exactly what will be shown there this year yet, it seems the four-pillar franchises seem highly likely, although I have heard one of Microsoft's more intrepid teams may be ready to show off what it has been baking. Some have been wondering if a mysterious countdown on Fallout TV show's Amazon Prime website is hinting at a shadow drop for a new Fallout game or remaster. That's what we talked about earlier in the stream. However, we are eventually getting a Fallout 3 remake. He says, I'm told this is not the case, that it's for that drop. It's probably for like merch or something. I'm told Obsidian of Grounded, The Outer Worlds, and Fallout New Vegas fame has 4 new projects, some big, some small. Fallout co-creator Tim Kaine also joined the studio a short while ago. I'm not sure if any of these projects are Fallout related, but either way, it shows Xbox isn't taking its foot off the pedal when it comes to content. It also seems like they are putting a lot of eggs in the Obsidian basket, and I don't blame them. Like, Obsidian was able to put out basically 3 AA games last year like it was nothing. They put out The Outer Worlds 2, Avowed, and they launched Grounded 2. Like, they're just coming out swinging, dude. Like, don't sleep on Obsidian. And yes, Tim Kaine, co-creator of Fallout, he did join them, but he did say that he's like, don't bother asking what I'm working on because it's not what you think it is. So make of that what you will. Probably not Fallout, frankly. I would love it if it were, but it's probably not. Continuing on the topic of Fallout, we are, of course, also eventually getting a Fallout 5, which I understand to be greenlit. I'm sorry, I saw this article go out. I don't know if it was from Jez or who, but I remember seeing the article go out like 6 months ago. Reporting states that Fallout 5 has been greenlit. Like, what? How is this news? Of course it's greenlit. Like, I think it was greenlit 20 years ago, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Of course. Like, I understand people want a story about like anything Fallout related, but like, seriously? Seriously? Like, of course it was greenlit. Like, breaking news, GTA 7 has been greenlit for 30 years from now. Okay, Bethesda's Todd Howard noted in a previous interview that Fallout is receiving a ton of investment right now. He said that in the context of Fallout 76 and the TV show, though. So I'd be cautious. I mean, it's like, in the context, it sounded like he was talking about mainly Fallout 76. It could be a while before we see the fruits of that labor, but perhaps we could see them teased at an upcoming show. Maybe. I think everything Todd has said, though, is that he regrets showing off Elder Scrolls 6 so early. And let's be honest, the only reason they showed it off when they did was because they were trying to sell to Xbox and they wanted to get people excited about it so that they could go to Xbox and be like, hey, give us more money for our company. Look how excited everybody is for Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield. Like, give us money. So Todd has said many times he regrets showing it off really, really early. And right now, the conservative estimate, and I am not exaggerating, the conservative estimate for Fallout 5 is like 2032, 2033. It's possible they pump it out faster. It's really unlikely, but like, we're talking about mid 2030. So I would be very surprised if Todd revealed revealed Fallout 5 this decade. I don't think he's going to do that. Continuing, after all, 2026 marks several major anniversaries for Xbox and some of its subsidiaries. Xbox is having its 25th anniversary. Blizzard is having its 35th. Bethesda is having its 40th. I think that honestly, this year, this is deep. This is a far out there, like, swing for the fences. Not even prediction, but like possibility. because it's their 40th anniversary, it's not impossible that we get an Elder Scrolls 6 trailer this summer in June at the Xbox showcase. I don't think it would show much of anything. I think it would be another like sizzle reel kind of deal, but it's not impossible. They've already announced it. Todd said he regrets showing it so early, but it's already announced. It's like the cat's out of the bag. Historically, I think with Starfield, they did what, a 2-year marketing cycle predominantly for that when they started actually showing stuff. And it's expected to probably come out like 2028 is what's currently expected. So if they started up the marketing cycle in June, that would prime it for release, you know, sometime in 2028. It would give them something big to celebrate their 40th anniversary with. It's not impossible. I don't think it's likely. I think it's more likely they show it off in 2027, because I think one of the problems with Starfield is that it was, the marketing cycle was too long, and it let the hype kind of get out of control. But yeah, Starfield was only 2 years because of delays. Yeah, I don't think that they've magically figured out their production process. So they might, for all we know, maybe they are targeting 2027. All Todd said was that it was not coming out in 2026. And I should clarify that because people sometimes hear that and misunderstand. What Todd said in that interview on the red carpet, he was asked which game comes out first, GTA 6 or Elder Scrolls 6. GTA 6 is coming in November of this year. Okay, that's the earliest it's coming, earliest. And he was asked, is it coming before or after? And he said GTA 6 is coming first. So that puts it either December of 26 or 27, 28, somewhere like that. So people who are still like, it could happen this year, I don't think so, dude. And nobody's launching any game anywhere close to GTA 6. Not even Todd, okay? Like, he's not releasing it a week after GTA 6. He's just not, okay? I'm sorry to be the party pooper. He's not doing that, okay? And I know for most of you guys, you're like, no duh, it's not coming out this year. There are still fanboys in the comment section of some of our videos that are saying, I still think it's coming this year. So I'm just trying to prevent them from getting bummed when it doesn't, okay? Anyway. So that's a deep cut. It's possible that they could have a trailer or something for Elder Scrolls 6 to celebrate the 40th anniversary. They could also just not mention it at all and move on. You know, it's like those people who are like, it's my 34th birthday. It's a big deal in my family. I'm like, is it though? It just seems like it's a big deal for you. Like, is it a big deal? I don't know. Maybe they don't care about the 40th birthday and it's like, they'd rather pretend they're turning 39 again. I don't know. But it's possible. It's possible. 25th anniversary is exciting and is like, oh, it's quarter century. Yeah, celebrate that. 35th, okay, maybe. 40th, possibly. But it feels like 25th, 50th, 75th. Like, those are the big ones. But anyway, continuing. Microsoft and its teams are planning a wide variety of events. Or not a wide. I inserted that. I apparently subconsciously wanted to say wide. Microsoft and its teams are planning a variety of events and announcements to celebrate these milestones. At BlizzCon 2026, I thoroughly expect to see new expansions revealed for Diablo 4 alongside World of Warcraft's The Last Titan. We should also get major updates for Overwatch and Hearthstone and potentially other new mobile game reveals. You all have phones, don't you? There has been long-held rumors of an Overwatch mobile game on the horizon, for example, and I've heard another Warcraft mobile game project is in gestation. The headline for BlizzCon 2026 is most likely going to be StarCraft. It was previously reported that StarCraft is getting the third-person shooter treatment, and I confirmed these rumors true via my own sources a while back. For Bethesda's 40th, we could catch a glimpse of id Software's next title, or it has been rumored for an incredibly long time that id could return to Quake or Hexen now that all the rights fully exist within the Microsoft umbrella. Machine Games is also thought to be working on a Rainbow Six-like multiplayer title. Although I've heard that Wolfenstein 3 is also in the cards. It's possible Wolfenstein 3 is also in the cards to coincide with the upcoming Wolfenstein Amazon TV show. Perhaps some of these games will break cover at Bethesda's QuakeCon event, but big reveals are often reserved for the Xbox Showcase. As usual, Xbox will hold an event in June to coincide with Summer Games Fest and the post-E3 Summer Marketing Blitz. It's here where we should see glimpses at 2027 titles, which could include games like In Exile's Clockwork Revolution, Undead Lab's State of Decay 3, Arcane's Blade, and possibly other hitherto unknown titles. That's a solid word. I love hitherto. Underrated word. Underrated word. I'm gonna say it right now. Cancel me. I don't care. Just my opinion. Clockwork Revolution, I think, is gonna be big. I get the same vibe that I got with Expedition 33 when I look at that trailer. I just get a feeling like it's going to be massive. Undead Labs State of Decay 3. If this shows up at all, I will be excited because I love State of Decay. And I think this was revealed in 2020, we saw 6 years ago. Like, how on earth do they still not have anything ready? Like, how on earth do they not have anything ready? It's crazy. Blade was also, I think that was 2021. Oh no, that was only, it says 2 years ago. It was the Game Awards 2023.
Attention. The sun is currently setting. All citizens are required to shelter in storm.
Relax, man. I don't bite. Lock up tight now. Night's just getting started.
I think that's going to be awesome. I think that's going to be really good. But it's also been AFK for a while, so they should hopefully have something to show. Maybe, possibly. I think that could be really cool. And yeah, they've got a bunch of other stuff. Like, seriously, Xbox has so many studios, and I think they're starting to figure out their timelines and productions. They're giving teams enough time to work on what they need to do. And to get games ready, because God knows they they had a rough spat of it for a while, where clearly their internal review systems were not working. Like, they reportedly thought Redfall was going to review significantly better than it ended up reviewing. Like, at the time, I think it was suggested that their internal reviews were putting it somewhere in the 80s on Metacritic is what they kind of expected. And so when it reviewed, or when it dropped and was reviewing in like the 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10 range, they were apparently shocked. Like, they had no idea. They really thought it was going to review better. So they started to figure that out, but yeah, they've got a lot of stuff that they're working on that they should have ready to show. I've heard Ninja Theory's next game will be more combat involved and interactive than Hellblade 1 and 2, while retaining the cinematic excellence the studios come to be known for. This also, so Ninja Theory, I'm going to be real. I think now enough dust has settled that this isn't seen as like, as shocking a statement as it once was, perhaps. Hellblade 2, the Game Awards. This one was so weird because I loved the first game. I thought it was fantastic. One of the most memorable endings of any game I've ever played. I loved it. I thought the second game was one of the most disappointing things I've ever played in my life. Like, seriously, I thought I had accidentally discovered a fake ending or like an early ending, because it just ends out of nowhere. It's so anticlimactic. It was so disappointing. Like, I can't think of a game that's left me more bummed than this one in recent memory. At least some games like that ended up being sort of underwhelming for a lot of people. Like, I kind of went into them expecting, like, I kind of expected that like Starfield would be kind of meh, and so that didn't really shock me. This one I was really optimistic and hopeful, but it just disappointed me so bad. But they are reportedly working on something new and fresh. It's also interesting because this was apparently, like, if you look at it, they worked on a live service game called Bleeding Edge right before this. So they revealed this in 2020 with the Xbox Series X console, and then they worked on a live service game for a while that of course ended up like collapsing and falling apart. Didn't go over too well, but this is what they were working on. I showed this the other day too, and this ended up getting shut down. So it seems like they only actually worked on Hellblade 2 for like a year and a half, 2 years. And when you consider that with a team of like 70 or 80 people, it starts to make sense why it ended up being as short as it was and kind of as underwhelming as it was. But I'm hopeful for whatever the next project is that they have more time and resources and listen to the feedback, because it was just really, really disappointing. Anyway, so we'll see what they're working on. It seems like they're at least trying to shake it up, be a little bit more, I don't know, ambitious with it. Continuing on, we'll also catch a glimpse of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, undoubtedly there, with Activision eager to reconnect with fans after Black Ops 7's controversial delivery. Call of Duty will also drop on the Nintendo Switch later this year, fulfilling Microsoft's promises to regulators. There are strong rumors that Age of Empires will return with a new title in the future too, powered by Unreal Engine, and we could see more of Hideo Kojima's mysterious OD horror project this year as well. I believe one of the actors actually passed away as well. One of the actors from the trailer passed away. So I don't know if that could have thrown things for a loop as well. There's also plenty of unknowns. Microsoft Xbox Publishing still has plenty of secret projects. Xbox's largest stable of service games will doubtless get major updates this year, including Minecraft, Grounded 2, Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, and King Mobile franchises. We could see toys for Bob's long-rumored Spyro this year. What is the mysterious off-look elsewhere entertainment Xbox team working on? Perhaps we'll find out in 2026. They also will have, let's see, Xbox Ally roadmap updates. I reported last year that the next Xbox will run full-bore Windows, and that is still the plan. In partnership with AMD, the next Xbox will utilize Windows 11 full-screen experience with the Xbox app to deliver its console interface. Microsoft is working on major updates to the Xbox PC app to accommodate this, bringing it more closely in line with what Xbox console players will expect when engaging with the device on their TV rather than at their desk. Where it diverges with traditional PCs, it's in its ability to actually run games compatible with Xbox One and Series X. Microsoft announced that it's partnering with AMD to enable Xbox games on its PC-like device. Existing Xbox console users' libraries will come forward with them to the new Xbox as Microsoft continues to commit to backwards compatibility in a big way. That's very interesting. Seems like 2026 is going to be the year of like the PC on the TV experiences. So like we'll have the Steam machine, which is basically just like a little PC, but you know, plugged into your TV. And then the next Xbox, which I don't know if we'll hear about it this year. I still think it's probably coming in like a year or two more because it's going to be really expensive. But I think that that's going to be the big push. I think a lot of companies are going to start to really push on that type of thing. I think it's going to do well. I mean, I think that that's a good idea. I think that a lot of console gamers are realizing as things start to spread to all different platforms that on PC, the water's fine, dude. The water's fine. It's really nice over here, guys. It's really nice. It's a good time to be a gamer on PC, assuming you already have one and don't need to buy it. If you don't have it already, it sucks. But if you have one already, it's really nice. It's really nice. Yeah, they plan to make Xbox publishing more open and Steam-like, lifting the NDA on some of its publishing rules last year. I'm told we should see some new Xbox hardware this year. I suspect we'll finally see the Xbox Elite Controller Series 3 break cover in 2026 and perhaps even other controller revisions. I think they were exploring also doing haptic feedback in the actual triggers, like the adaptive triggers on the PlayStation controllers. They might add that. There's always the chance we'll see more Xbox branded OEM hardware taking advantage of the Xbox full screen experience on Windows, similar to the Xbox Ally. I've been working through some credible rumors that we see an OEM Xbox PC in 2026, but time will tell whether or not that pans out, especially with how expensive stuff is now. On paper, everything is looking up for Xbox as an entity, but challenges remain. Xbox Series X and S hardware sales are in free fall decline, although existing users are sticky and remain heavily engaged. Despite PlayStation's vastly bigger install base, some games such as Helldivers 2 and Arc Raiders over-index on Xbox systems, delivering disproportionate engagement for publishers. There's still a ton of money to be made on the Xbox ecosystem, which is why we haven't seen publishers pull out of the platform despite the decreased amount of new users coming in. What they're referring to is that, like, if you look at the proportion of actual like market share, if you think of like, you know, the split between PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, if it's like, this is, I don't know, this is just for visual purposes, this is PlayStation, okay, this is Xbox, okay, and then we have Steam, and this is for like specific games, okay, like Arc Raiders. What they're saying is, even though this is the split, the like actual amount of copies being sold on specific platforms actually ends up splitting. Like for Arc Raiders, it's actually much closer to, like, the vast majority is PC players, and then the split between PlayStation and Xbox is actually kind of close. I think for Arc Raiders it was like 24% versus 21% on Xbox. So a ton of Xbox users are buying in, like as a percentage of the total console sales, they're very, very active. Whereas a lot of the PlayStation players, it's so widespread that it doesn't convert the same way. It could just be broader interest. It could also be that people buy two PlayStations and they have a Pro and a regular one. And so even though they've sold more units of console hardware, the number of people out there is not directly correlated to the volume. It's not really clear, but yeah, Xbox gamers that still have the hardware are certainly engaged and are very active, disproportionately so compared to other platforms. Where Xbox is seeing success is on Xbox PC. I'm told Microsoft may begin reporting its Xbox PC stats as part of Microsoft's quarterlies, reflecting its growth. The addition of benefits in games like Fortnite, League of Legends, and Valorant has helped Xbox PC win itself at an alternative audience to that of Steam, although organic support still seems to be challenging for titles shipping outside of Xbox Game Pass. True. I think that it seems to be doing well. I know a lot of people that are interested in certain games that are launching on Xbox Game Pass, and they will play through the PC app instead of going and buying it through Steam just to try it out. And if they really like it, they might still buy it on Steam, but a lot of people are going through Game Pass whenever they see something interesting. Let's see. Yeah, micro slop trending. The DRAM price glut is something Microsoft and other companies will not be able to escape. Yeah, nobody can. Practically anything powered by computers like to see price increases this year. Yeah, that's all true. There's been a ton of negativity and angst about Microsoft direction and corporate level commitment to gaming, and for good reason, but I am hopeful that Xbox can fully turn the corner this year and begin to show that it and its ecosystem are truly here to stay. Yeah, whenever you have a platform and a company and people are questioning whether it's even going to still exist in a year, something's gone wrong. You know, something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. And I think that that's pretty clear when you look at Xbox's overall brand identity right now, is that there's a lot of uncertainty. I think a lot of people look at them very skeptically and suspiciously. They have very little confidence in the leadership right now, at least. And they got to shake it up. They got to do something else. And I think a lot of that comes down to marketing and communication. Microsoft in general is known for being really bad at communication. They just don't really do it. Like, you know who's really good at it and managing brand identity historically? Apple. Apple's phenomenal at it. They've even created like a cult of Apple where it's like a social status thing if you have it. Dude, for anybody thinking that they didn't do a good job of this, like, you remember the stupid Apple iPhone like sling thing that they sold? This just launched. It's a freaking sock for your phone. And I understand these things are popular in like Asia. You know how much these things are? Do you know how expensive these things are? The short strap is $150. The long strap is $230. They sold out. They sold out of these things because they've managed the brand reputation so much that it's like a social status thing. If you see somebody walking in Soho with this, you're like, ooh, they're balling. Ooh, they're balling. They've managed to do it. They're the polar opposite of Microsoft, okay? Like the polar opposite. To a bad degree, I would argue, because this is insane, but they're the polar opposite. With Microsoft stuff, like now you hear somebody like is an Xbox gamer, the immediate assumption is that they're like, they don't probably have a lot of money. They're a budget conscious gamer, as if that's a bad thing. You know, immediately people conclude things that companies don't tend to like to have you conclude. Like they want you to conclude that, oh, they spend a ton of money on that because that's good for the business, right? It's easier to steal your phone with that. I don't know if it's across your body. I think it's probably harder. Like that, yeah, it probably is easier, but that, yeah, that's gonna be tougher to get. But I think that Microsoft needs to get much better at communicating. They need to overhaul the marketing strategies, and I'm sure they've already been doing it, but whenever you have a business and people are wondering if it will exist in a year, you've screwed up, you know?
At Jimbo_404 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Consume, breed, work, consume.
I agree. Those are my favorite things. Consuming, breeding, holla, and working. Pretty much all you need. You're missing generate. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and shut up. Stop talking and complaining. There you go. So I think that they got to overhaul the communication. I think that's going to be a big, needs to be a big push for them in 2026. Beyond that, they have a lot of good and solid games. They need to let that be the focus. And I think the other piece is that they need to make these games feel like more of a moment. One of my critiques of them for 2025 is that they have a lot of stuff and they had a lot of really good big games, but you know how they just kind of came and went? Like Doom. There was a new Doom in 2025. And I feel like after a week and a half, nobody was talking about it. It didn't feel like a big moment where people wanted to discuss it and bring it up and they're referring back to it. It just kind of came and went, you know, just came and went. And I think if they can find a way to make these things bigger moments, it'll work really well for them and generate some organic discourse. I think the other thing is You know, and that will, to be clear, that will come with just the games in general. And the other piece that I will say is that I think they need to reevaluate their approach to earned media. This, I'm going to lift the curtain a little bit, okay? Because I've told this story before, but I think it's indicative of it. From my perspective as like a content creator, as somebody involved in like games, media, and discourse, it seems clear to me that Xbox's general approach is that they want to get fans and then have those fans be advocates. They've done this with something called the Xbox Ambassador Program, for example. Thank you for the super chat, John. I'll respond to that in just a second. I just don't want to lose my train of thought. They had the Xbox Ambassador Program, and what they will do is they will go out, they'll find fans of Xbox, they'll find people on TikTok, on you know, smaller YouTube channels or streams, and they will have them come to their events, and they'll have them promote their games like that. Something I heard from a friend of mine who went to an Xbox event. I did not attend this event, and I'm not saying I'm surprised, but I did not attend this event. He asked one of the Xbox people, he's like, where's Luke? Is Luke here? Because, you know, we're buddies. And the Xbox guy is like, oh, no, we didn't send Luke an invite. And he was like, why not? He's like, well, you know, Luke just, you know, we really want to, you know, we need him to like support the brand more and stuff. And it was like an offhand comment. I think they were getting drinks at the time. And so it's very casual. But I thought when he told me about that after the fact, I was like, that doesn't seem like what seems to be the suggestion is I need to be more of a fanboy and then you'll open the door for access. And I don't think that's a healthy way to do it. Okay. Like, I don't think that's a healthy way to do it because I'm not going to do that. Okay. I'm not going to like shut up and like, I could critique their firing of 20,000 people, or I could just not say anything and maybe get invited to a mixer where I can have a $15 margarita for free. Like, screw that. Screw that. Okay. I'm not going to do that. And I think, to be clear, this might have just been an offhand comment from one guy that was not indicative of the broader corporate strategy, but it's something I've noticed where they do not tend to be that forgiving when people criticize them, and the people they give access to tend to be friendlies. They tend to be people that they consider to be friendly. And I think the danger with that is that then nobody takes that discourse seriously. And I've noticed this when we do reactions and stuff where Xbox studios or you know, executives go on to friendly-ish platforms and do interviews. We kind of like, we notice all the time there's like no real hard questions. It's all just kind of puff piece stuff. And as a result, the community gets nothing from it. The executives don't get any actual feedback or criticism. They don't get any pushback at all because they're just like going into friendly waters. And so I don't think it's healthy for the brand because they don't get real feedback or an actual feeling of what the broader community actually thinks. And the people outside of that bubble of like fanboys, they don't give a crap because they're not watching the fanboys, you know? And it's why I've said like 1,000 times, if somebody who's known for being really critical, or if there's an outlet that's really cutthroat and hard to please, if they come out and have good things to say about some company or game that they've previously been critical of, that goes way farther than if you have like a fanboy saying, this is the next greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm not going to say what I was about to say. I'm not going to say that. So define fanboy. In this context, I mean people who, as that rep allegedly said, support the brand. It's the guys that they view as supportive of the platform. And I think that is just a fundamentally skewed way of viewing it that doesn't help them at all. Transparently, I wouldn't go to the event even if I were invited because we can co-stream it and have more fun. But I'm telling them as a point of like advice, general advice, I think opening the doors. You know who's actually, to their credit, is really good at this, shockingly enough? Ubisoft. Like Ubisoft, I've criticized the shit out of their games. I said that their CEO looks like a lovable elf who probably has a dark secret. I've said that their CEO should probably be fired. And I said the entire family that runs Ubisoft should be gutted from the company and replaced with competent managers. I said AC Valhalla was a travesty of open world design. I have not been that kind, you know? I've not been that kind. And yet they will still communicate regularly. And their approach is, well, we'll get you next time. We'll get you next time. You know, you didn't like this. It's okay. We'll get you next time. And that is not something I can say for a lot of other companies. Like truly. You cannot say that about a lot of other companies. And it's you know, they deserve credit. Ubisoft deserves credit. At least the US team that handles this, they deserve credit for that, because they understand that the criticism is not like personal. It's just like, okay, sometimes a little personal, but like when I said Jim Ryan looked like an alien wearing a human mask, I will say, like, we have fun with it, but I think the key is to respond to the criticism and not be like petty about it. You say Skill Up got blacklisted. Oh, I didn't know that. I know that there's plenty of companies that have a history of blacklisting people when they don't like what they say or they view them as too critical or too difficult. But even if they do that and then they still open the door, that's really I think that goes a longer way. Because if you see that, like, imagine they release the Starfield 2.0 update and I try it and I'm like, bro, it's actually pretty good. It's like the game's actually pretty damn good now. If I say that, that's going to sell way more copies for them than if John Starfield decides to come out and be like, it's still amazing. It's just even more amazinger. Like, it's not, that's going to go way farther. Right. And I think that that's just a dynamic that has not really been entertained. It's just like, no, we need the fans and the fanboys. So let's get the people who support the brand, bring them in, and that'll be good enough. And it's almost like they just assume that people can't tell what they're doing, you know? But anyway, the point is, with all of this, they just need to overhaul how they communicate with the gaming community. And if that's done by changing how their marketing stuff works, how their press relations stuff works, then so be it. But I think that they got to find a new way of handling it, because it doesn't seem to work out too well. Skill Up did with Bethesda, yeah, not Ubi. Okay. I mean, I will say, after the Starfield stuff, they got real quiet for a while. And recently, I mean, to be clear, it seems like the people over at Xbox that I've worked with are all fantastic and brilliant people, like very capable. This seems to be an upper management issue. Like, this is an upper echelon thing. So it's not the individuals. It's coming from on high. You know, it's coming from on high. What's the likelihood you get a Bethesda interview? No. No, I don't think they'd be interested in that. I'd be down. I'd be very polite. But I would have questions. And I mean, to be clear, it'd be like communicated up front that, like, we're not gonna beat around the bush. We're gonna be like, I got some tough questions and I'd like the answers to them. That's not gonna be a puff piece, you know. He took my thing.